longer. That usually take about an hour and a half, 2 hours. It really goes through a whole introduction to Teams and as far as how you're accessing and getting into it. And we will probably be adding some more of those soon, or getting a nice clean recording of one and making that available somewhere for future use. If you have any questions as we're going through, certainly unmute and ask away, or try to either raise your hand or put something in the chat there, and we'll try to get to you when we have a moment. We may not be able to answer it right away. But what are the main feedbacks that we've gotten with respect to some of the team sites that are getting created, and people are throwing around different codes and stuff to join them, is that people weren't really quite sure how to use them as far as their how to use that code to add that team to their account. Now, it's important to remember that if you are going to be joining a team or using a team beyond using Teams in a meeting, that you're going to be needing to log into some type of Red Cross account. Either that's going to be an individual Red Cross account that you have already. Typically, that means it's your Office 365 account is what it also might be referred to. Microsoft Teams is one of those apps that you would have access to, or in the realm of when you're on an operation on DRO, there are certainly DRO accounts that can get assigned to you, and you would access Microsoft Teams in that manner. Again, this is beyond just attending a meeting. If you're getting to the more of the collaboration aspects of Microsoft Teams. So joining with a code, there was a discussion earlier. Susan, if you could put the code to join the team in the chat there.
I'll do that.
Since I don't need to go and find it there, but it was posted. We go into volunteer connection in the DST global group share. So that would be at the bottom of your groups list. If one of your gaps is DST, then the DST or Disaster Services Technology will show up under Mon Global Groups in your volunteer connection login. In one of the discussions, there was a posting with respect to Teams operational toolbox and support webinar, and a site that we were encouraging people to join. And as part of that conversation, there's a code to join the specific Microsoft Teams. Well, once you have the code, well, what do you do with it? Well, we're going to show you here. Once you have the code, and we'll see it there, and get back to the other screen. So if I go over to the conversation part of the meeting, we'll see the thing pop up on the right. So I'm going to just share my screen here for a second, just so you all get an idea of what we're looking at. Or rather, share my desktop, as it's called. Go back into Teams here, minimize that little window. So you're seeing my desktop, which is why I'm on this little tiny box down in the corner. But so we've got the conversation part opened up here on the right. And then there's a code here that's in a conversation in the discussion group, but Susan has pasted it here in the chat. So here's the virtual skill builders teams, which is created for these sessions that we're doing, as well as other related activity. So if you have a Microsoft account, you'd like to join that team for future reference, basically you just want to copy that team code. Then you would go over to your Teams toolbar here on the left side of the screen, click on Teams, And then once you see your list of teams that you may or may not already be a member of, down at the bottom, you see the join or create a team. So let's click that. A bunch of boxes are gonna pop up here, and then hiding them on all these boxes, it doesn't always jump out at you here. There's one of these boxes here at the top. First one here is talking about creating a team, which is what we do not want to do at the moment, but we actually want to join a team with the code. So it's this box here at the top center. Depending on how big your window is, it might be arranged slightly different, but it will be towards the top of the list here. And I'm just going to paste that code in, click on join the team. And voila, I am now a member of the Virtual Skill Builders DST teams. And there's the main team name right here. And then we have our different channels underneath here. You see that Fusion is essentially going to be making channel for each. In there. 1 second. One of the great features of Microsoft Teams is, if you're a presenter, that you can go up here to the top of the participant list, click this mute all button. It causes everyone's microphone to mute, because sometimes people forget their mic's muted. You can also individually, if you're a presenter, mute individuals. So if somebody was having a problem with their microphone or inadvertently unmuted and didn't realize it and wasn't paying attention, a presenter can actually go to any person that is participating in the meeting, select them, and then click on mute participant. A presenter only has the ability to mute everyone or mute an individual person. They do not have the ability to unmute anyone. Only the individual can unmute their own microphone. So quick little tip there. So long as you're a presenter, you will have that ability. So in the case of the meeting that we're in right now, we're actually, all of us are actually set up as presenters because that's kind of the default setup. On larger meetings, it's usually advantageous for the people that are in charge of those meetings to maybe look at just identifying some specific people with respect to who the presenters are. So then and then the rest of them are just going to be attendees. It just cuts down on people's ability to share the screen and whatnot and inadvertently click on stuff. Gene, you have a question?
Comment: in some implementations of Teams meetings, if your microphone is muted and you speak or there's other noise, a message appears on your screen that your microphone is muted. Just something for people to watch out for in case that happens.
Yeah, it's just a nice reminder. So if you did mute your mic and you start talking, the application is reminding you like, hey, you're making noise, but hey, your mic's muted, so no one else is hearing you. So,
Charlie, there's
yes.
another question about muting video, showing stop incoming videos. Do you want to show that?
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
Okay.
So with respect to the mic muting, that was some quick notes there because it sounded like somebody was shaving earlier for a little bit. But back to and we'll get back to a couple other things here before we're done. But with respect to the team that we just joined, by use of that code, which can be kind of a simpler way to join a team as opposed to knowing the specific name and searching for it, though you can do that. The code to join a team is very much will get you where you need to go, and is always also a method used when, especially when a team isn't public and doesn't show up in the searches, and you'll need the code to join it in that case. But in the case of the virtual skill builders teams that we see right here, we again have these different channels here. There'll be one for each week. So here's week 1. Channel, and then we have different tabs up across the top. There's not much happening here yet because we just started this meeting, but this is where notes and things from the meetings will get posted later on. So back to a couple other suggestions or things that you can do within Teams. We've got the participant list. And here's where we see everyone who's joined the team, or rather is participating in the meeting that we're in. We can see who's muted. If we're a presenter, we have the ability to mute people. It will tell them that they've been muted by the presenter when you do that. Also at the top, you could invite additional people. And also by just typing in their Red Cross account name, typing that in, and then it will send them an email or a message, I forget which, indicating how they should join that session. And then there's also here is the copy the join info, where you can just copy the hyperlink information, paste that into some other chat or email to some people to have them quickly join the meeting that's already in session. So on the meeting toolbar right here, you see there's a bunch of controls here, the camera, the microphone, that's all pretty straightforward. But under the more action section, there's a couple here that show up. And depending on what your what role you are as a part of this meeting that you're participating in will dictate a little bit about what pops up here. And also some of your hardware capabilities of the computer that you're using. But and just a fun one or important one here at the bottom is turning on or off your incoming video. If you might be on a lower bandwidth connection, or you don't really, it's not important to you with respect to the meeting that you're attending to see everyone's camera feed, you have the option to turn off the incoming video. This only affects your own experience of the meeting that you're in. So I turned off my incoming video. So I'll turn it back on, and I see that Susan's the only person that has their camera on, which is why I only see the one person there. But if I turn off my incoming video, let me go back to the tiles here. Now, if you're using the desktop application, which is one of 3 ways that you can access Microsoft Teams, you can see up to 9 boxes of people in your view. So if I turn off my conversation here, those boxes will just get a little bigger. But you can see up to 9 people. The 9 boxes that you see are going to be the 9 most recent people who have made noise. That's who Microsoft Teams is going to throw up there. So if you're in an open discussion and there's more than 9 people, as new people start talking, then their faces are going to pop up on the screen, which makes that automatic part helpful. But if you're in maybe a larger meeting, there's a bunch of people asking questions, and maybe there's a main presenter like me, or some other people that you want to stick up on your screen and look and see them all the time, regardless of what who's talking and switching there. They can get a little dizzy sometimes depending on what's going on. You actually have the ability to pin people up on the screen. So pinning is something you can do with your boxes here. It's also stuff you can do with conversations and other aspects of Teams when you've got other stuff. If you have your chats, a bunch of chats, and there's some ones that you want to keep at the top, you can pin some towards the top. That's another feature there. But say if I just wanted to click on Tina here, click on pin. So I will always see Tina. And I can actually add other people to that. So maybe there's 2 or 3 people I want to keep on the screen all the time. So maybe I'll add Susan, and let's find some other random people. We'll add Jean. So we got 3 people there. If I turn my video back on, see that Susan's the only one that has her camera on, which is fine. But regardless of who starts talking, these 3 people will always stay up on my screen. And this is only with respect to my experience of Microsoft Teams. Oh, there's Jean. Tina, you can turn your camera on, even though I know you never like to do that. But so we've got our stuff going on there. Yeah, those are just some main things. There are a couple other things underneath here. Is live captioning. It just does some live captioning across the bottom of the screen. Again, this is with respect to your own experience. That can be helpful if you're in a noisy environment. Maybe there's a bunch of you watching a big screen. Turning captioning on could be helpful. There's also the background effect. Jean tried one of those a little bit earlier with respect to the backgrounds. I know you can, select some different settings here, and my computer's being weird, so I'm just gonna. All right, this is being weird now.
Charlie, we have a few questions in the chat box. You catch it?
Yeah, 1 second.
It looks like some of them have been answered already by others. Thank you. But if you want to respond to Jeff Slattery's question, Charlie, that would be great. Oh, somebody just did that too.
Yeah, so we got some people answering there. So when you're getting your notifications in your lower right hand of the screen, you'll get notifications for chats that you don't. When you have Teams open and you don't have that chat open, you'll get a little notification in the bottom right of your screen say, like, if you're in a meeting or whatnot. Sometimes that can be distracting, as Jeff is noting here. What you can do is, with respect to your login, if you go up here to the upper right hand of your screen, you can, there's like a do not disturb thing you turn off, on or off in here. So I can click that to do not disturb.
Charlie,
and then
can you share your screen while you're your screen while you're doing that so people can see?
So yeah, in the upper right hand of your screen is your so you've got a little icon here, or maybe it's just your initials for your account. So if you don't want to be bugged by other notifications during a meeting that you're in, especially say if you're sharing your screen or your desktop rather, what you can do is actually set your setting here to do not disturb, and then it will cut down on those notifications. That's a very helpful thing to do. Also, with respect to other teams that you are a member of, or other chats, you've got all your different chats here. Here's the one that of the meeting that we're in here. Your chats can get kind of full if you're chatting with lots of different meetings and things, and sometimes these chats were just kind of one-offs and you don't really care about them anymore, or maybe it's a reoccurring meeting. For example, here is a chat that I have That's actually a part of a reoccurring meeting that happens every day with respect to the Los Angeles region. It's kind of a daily briefing on the COVID-19 feeding operation that they're supporting. And I don't always participate in it, but because there's a chat, I'm getting notifications and stuff as that meeting goes on. What you can do is, if you would like to not get bugged by various chat notifications on various chat streams, you have the option to go to the little menu here and you can actually mute the chat, which means you're not going to get as many notifications about it. It'll still show bold in your chat list that there's new activity there if you want to go check it out. You can still read it, but you're not going to get notifications. That would be called muting. So I have muted that, which is why this particular chat is gray.
Thank you for that, Charlie. I have a meeting every week that I don't usually go to, and the chat keeps showing up, and I didn't know how to get rid of it. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, so you either have the option to mute it, which means it still appears in the recent chat stuff here, but you're just not going to get notifications for it.
Yep.
The other option is to, if it's a meeting that you don't, or a chat conversation that you don't so much care about anymore, maybe it was like a one-off, where it was a one-off meeting and we're done, and I don't need it in my recent chat list, I can go ahead and hide that, and then it won't appear in this list here. As all of these chats have new entries, they will move up to the top of the list. And then again, with respect to pinning, if there's a chat that you wanted to keep towards the top of the list, you can pin certain chats also. So there's lots of options there. Now, as far as finding help in general with respect to Teams, there's, Teams has lots and different capabilities, and there's a lot of stuff out there as far as on Teams, Microsoft Teams training as a whole. And two places to start are within Microsoft Teams itself, and then the Microsoft website, and then also just doing general Google searches. You'll be happy what you find. With respect to when you're doing Google searches and you're looking at posts from other people on other platforms, YouTube videos, what have you, it's always good to look at when was that video posted. Is it within the past couple months, or was it like a year ago? Microsoft Teams is changing very rapidly. They're doing little updates in it very frequently, especially the past couple months. So it's important that if you're going outside of Teams and the Microsoft sites, that you're making sure that the information is somewhat current. But back to
Charlie, before you leave that,
go ahead.
Sorry, can you show them where to find that FAQ on the Teams tab? That's, to me, the easiest way to get into the Microsoft help.
Right. So that's the next step with respect to within the Teams itself. You have a help button down here, and then you've got topics, training, and what's new. But just click on one of them with respect to topics. It kind of looks like a Teams site, which it kind of is. But you've got different topics. If there's kind of an area with respect to planning a meeting, some other popular thing about blurring your screen, recording, sending praise to people, other links like that. It kind of breaks them into different topics here, and then just gives you some little instructions here. Sometimes there might be some little video clips and screen captures along with that. And it's all right within the application. And then there's other trainings which get into actual little short video clips that Microsoft has put together on the different topics. So this is one place to go as a great resource. In addition to within Microsoft Teams, we would also look at the actual Microsoft support site. Has a whole area just for Microsoft Teams, as well as all their other applications within Office 365 and things related, of course. But set up in a similar way where it's, hey, are you just getting started? You have stuff about teams and channels, notification settings, when do you want to be bugged, when do you not want to be bugged? It goes into all of those things there. And it's got all the trending topics, what's new, other tips in there. And then of course, just doing, just basic, web searches, Google searches for information on other support sites. Lots of people have different blogs on things about Teams, and there's a wealth of information out there. Just make sure that it's relatively recent so that it's current information, because a lot of aspects of Microsoft Teams are getting updated on a regular basis. Make sure there's nothing else here in the chat. Yeah, Eric, with respect to your question on, you joining a meeting and the chat, how it pops up on your different devices, if that is one kind of interesting aspect of Teams, and that even though you're using it from different platforms, it's all syncing back to your same account. So your chats will, if you have your Team app open on your phone while you're in a meeting, those chats and other activity will in some ways start popping up on your phone also. Again, you have the option to mute those if you want. But that's kind of a quick rundown on one finding help with respect to specific features or things you might have little questions on is one way to do that. And some of the stuff that we went over today that should prove helpful in your future experiences in Microsoft Teams.
Thank you, Charlie. Those were great tips, especially the meeting etiquette kinds of things that people may have heard, but if we don't use them all very often, then sometimes we forget what they are. As I said, I appreciate knowing how to mute those notifications. All right, so I just want to mention before we finish up here that for any of you that missed the kickoff event last week, I know there was some confusion with the time on the calendar, and that was my fault. And then I also forgot to start the recording once we did go. So I am going to repeat that event tomorrow evening, and you're all welcome to attend. There was an email that went out this morning from Angela Powell on our team that has the whole schedule of all the events for July, the virtual skill builder events. And you'll find the link for tomorrow evening in there, as well as the rest of the month. And it's also posted on the group share calendar in Volunteer Connection and on the news tab in Volunteer Connection. So again, if you have not attended last week, or if you missed part of it and want to attend again, you're welcome to join us. I'm going to do the demo in PowerPoint again about creating a GIF. I won't do an Independence Day image for it this time. I'll choose a different graphic instead, but we will go through that, as well as giving you some more information about how this program is going to work, the virtual skill builders. All right, thank you so much, Charlie, for the great information, and thank you to all of you for attending. Going forward, one of the things I'm going to be asking you to do is to be sure you put a comment in the chat if you attended, so that we do know who was here and who wasn't. If you have time to do that now, go ahead, but if not, that's fine. Because we don't have a way to take attendance really, that will help us, as we start seeing how many people are actually attending. And then when we have some exercises, we'll have ways for you to submit those in the group as well, but nothing for today. All right, thank you so much. And I hope to see you either Thursday night or next Wednesday, when we have a couple people talking about how they are using Teams in their region and division. Thank you.